welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, judging by the audience reaction that I saw this with, as well as most of the early reviews I've seen for this, I believe it's currently sitting around 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. I am definitely gonna be in the minority here. I did not like this movie. I went into this movie super excited. I mean, I was a big fan of Longlegs, and I was rooting for this movie. I wanted to absolutely love this. This, of course, was based on a Stephen King short story, and even Osgood Perkins said during the Q&A after the movie, he was like, when I read this short story, I said to myself, there isn't a movie here. There's not enough for a feature-length film. That kind of explains a lot. So this movie does look amazing. Osgood Perkins always makes very visually striking movies. He definitely knows how to create a unique environment, and the first 20 minutes of this movie are great. Adam Scott plays the dad to the twin brothers, Hal and Bill. He's not in the movie very much. He's just in the opening scene, but I kind of wish he was the lead of this movie. I'll get to Theo James later. But yeah, like the first 20 minutes of this, I was on board. The humor was working for me up to this point.
Oh, fuck.
Unfortunately, after we get past that and it cuts to modern times and we are now following adult Hal, played by Theo James, that's when the movie for me just becomes very stagnant, and I was hoping for a turnaround by the third act, but it completely lost me in the third act. I think this should have been an anthology. This would have been a tight 30-40 minute story, but I mean, even Osgood himself said that, like, hey, this isn't enough for a feature. So this movie plays like a comedic Final Destination. And that means that there are some very bizarre kills, like intricate setups. While some deaths work, they almost start to feel very cartoonish. And I mean like bodies exploding when they shouldn't really explode. Almost sort of like, remember the game Mousetrap, where like, oh, this leads to this, and this happens, and this happens. It becomes silly to a point. I'm not saying it's not fun, but they're so far removed from reality that it just gets very schlocky in a way that doesn't always work for me.
So the idea, I think, is that you sit down all the time and then you let it come. How did I write the crazy deaths? I don't know. They wrote me, right? Like, it's such a goofy thing to say, and I beg your pardon to anybody there who wants some more fabulous explanation, but the truth is that when you get into a groove as an artist, it's doing it, and you're like, cool. You're checking. You're like, I must have done that. But the whole, like, how do you do it? You don't really do it. Isn't that sucky? Isn't that a sucky thing to say? But it's the truth.
Now, I'm seeing a lot of people compare this to Final Destination, and I get the comparisons. But you know why Final Destination worked? It's because we were invested in the character of Alex, played by Devon Sawa. We cared about him and his friends. Yes, there were crazy over-the-top deaths, but they were just sort of a bonus on top of the story. In The Monkey, the deaths are the star of the movie, and all the emotional stuff just falls to the wayside. And I think that's my biggest problem with this movie. There's no real emotional anchor to the movie. They sort of try with Theo James and his son. There's like this strained father and son relationship, but it's just, there was just not enough to get me to really care about any character in this movie, really. Theo James is just okay in this movie. Pretty bland. I did read a review that said he talks like he's stuck in a truck commercial, and I can't unhear that now.
When I was a kid, my twin brother and I found something that loved to kill.
But yeah, this movie just, it kind of lacks an emotional core for me. And look, I'm all for having fun, insane deaths, but the story has to be there. And maybe I'm missing something, but there's not a story here. Yeah, this monkey is kind of like killing all these people, but what else? And Osgood said that like when he read the short story, he saw the monkey as like this deity, this god who is controlling who lives and who dies. And that was the kind of the starting point for where he took this movie. But it seems like that's as far as he got. Like, yeah, okay, this monkey is controlling who lives and who dies, but you gotta build up character development around that idea. This movie also relies heavily on edits. And what I mean by that is like the edit is the punchline.
Anybody who makes movies knows the editing room is like, it's like stepping into like an ayahuasca trip. You're like, whoa, if I just do that, then there's all that. And if I just go that way, it's all that. And it's all this. It's infinite and it's insane. So you have to get, you have to start making decisions about things. But we discovered that we could get laughs with cuts. You know, we decided we could sort of tell the story on cuts, which is the dream, which is the way you want to do it.
There are some laugh out loud moments in this movie. Like, for example, the kids are saying at one point, like, hey, I wonder who the monkey's gonna kill next. And before they can finish that sentence, it hard cuts to a funeral scene and we see who died. And that was a hilarious moment. It got a big laugh from the audience. They take that same formula and keep repeating and repeating it throughout the movie, and sometimes it works and sometimes it just does not. Even with the audience I saw this with, which was like insane. People were laughing their ass off. I've never heard such an interactive audience. So if you get a chance, go see this in a packed theater. And by the way, don't take my word for any of this. Like, these are just my opinions. Like I said, I'm in the minority. Go see it for yourself, make your own opinion. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, a lot of the humor just not only falls flat, but straight up face plants. Like, even with the audience I saw this with, it was just like crickets during moments where they were clearly going for a laugh. This isn't giving anything away, but one of the most egregious moments was this handshake moment. There's this running joke where one of the characters goes for a handshake and does like the ooh, too fast for you. They bring that back at the end of the movie and he does the thing and it's not funny then, and then he's like, oh no, seriously, and then does it again, and it so did not work. It was just awkward. I'm like, ooh, this is not funny. What the fuck is this? So other than like the father and son stuff, there's really no emotional anchor to this. There was nothing to root for, and even that is a pretty thin plot line. Like, it's not very well developed, so all we're left with are these insane death scenes, which yeah, are fun, but man, there was just nothing to grab onto here. There were a few standout moments in this movie. There are some good cameos. Elijah Wood pops up for a little bit. That was kind of fun. The lady that plays the realtor in this, sorry I forgot her name, but she was very funny. Actually had real comedic timing and didn't just rely on an editing punchline. Rohan Campbell, my boy from Halloween Ends, he is in this. And I gotta say, he does a great job in this. He plays like this kind of metalhead looking kid, like his hair's all in his face and he's just kind of like this little shit. I found myself wondering, like, should he have been the lead of this movie? Because I've seen him in other stuff and he has actual range. And not to sound like a dick, but Theo James just does not. Yeah, I was very disappointed, guys. Like, I was a huge fan of Longlegs. And look, that's not going to stop me from seeing what Osgood Perkins does in the future. Even though this didn't land for me, he is a very interesting guy. And puts out interesting movies. So whatever he does next, I will be there opening night. Don't let this stop you from being hyped about it. Go check it out for yourself. I truly hope you love this movie. Everybody in the theater was losing their minds, but Osgood did not really have like a path in mind when he started this thing. It was just like, I guess hey, here's a bunch of gore. Hope this is entertaining. And
Ayahuasca trip.
so if you enjoyed this movie, that's awesome. But do me a favor. Take away all the death scenes and comment below why you enjoyed this movie without the death scenes. Like, is there anything else to this movie? Did I miss something? Let me know. Help me out. Even if we disagree, that's cool. Thank you for watching anyways. I truly appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to like this video, even if you don't agree with me, and subscribe to the channel if you got a second. It would mean a lot. Okay, that is going to do it for today, but thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.